Well, Kings Speedway, powered by Keller Motors, is going to be busy this weekend. And to open things up in this episode of Track Talk, we grabbed Gary Thomas with the Sprint Car Challenge Tour to talk about the 38th annual Cotton Classic taking place on Friday night. That is coming up next after these messages. Dave's Home Supply specializes in cabinets, flooring, and countertops. Visit their website at daveshomesupply.com to look at products, services, financing, and even a free estimate. Are you looking for bookkeeping, payroll, or income tax services? Then check out the folks at For You Simple Bookkeeping. They are a licensed tax preparer throughout the entire United States. For more information, click on the link in the description. This broadcast is brought to you by Meat Freaks Jerky Club. Get the best jerky the world has to offer straight to your door by visiting meatfreaksjerkyclub.com. Pick your box and plan, tell them where to ship, and receive and enjoy. Log on to meatfreaksjerky.com and use promo code SPEED. Well, when you talk about the Cotton Classic, there's a couple things that come to mind. It's the fall and Kings Speedway, powered by Keller Motors. And Gary Thomas, you're joining me for another Track Talk. Here we are as we start to march towards the end of the month of September, but a historic event, Cotton Classic, it's back. It's back at Hanford. You know, they made the name change back to Kings Speedway. All is right. We'll be in the world in the Central Valley of California on Friday night.
Yeah, no, we're looking forward to it, and I'm excited. The weather is finally turning in our favor. You know, towards the 80s. I think we talked a few weeks ago that this is the best time of the year when that weather finally cools down and brings the fans out. Yeah.
I think at last I checked, which was a few days ago, but right at 80. That is something definitely not to complain about.
Yeah, no, I mean, the Outlaw show there felt like it was about 110, so you get 80 degrees and put on a light hoodie at night. That's probably the most popular weather among everybody.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Disneyland sometimes in the summertime.
Yeah.
So, 30th Annual Cotton Classic. This is a historic race, and predominantly the last few years it's taken the role as a 360 event, but that always has not been the case.
Yeah, this was always one of the special postseason events. I know for a long time it was the last wing sprint car show of the year in California. So that was what always made it kind of be like a, just kind of a special deal because it was everybody's last crack at, getting a win and the fans' last chance to see a wing sprint car show in California. A couple of years it was the final race for the King of the West series, and then the last few years it's been a 360 show kind of tied in with the Maury Williams Memorial Weekend.
And there were several years there. I think there was a good stretch. It kind of went unsanctioned as well.
Yeah, that's what it always used to be. At least when I was growing up, it was always a non-sanctioned wing 410 sprint car show. So there was no points on the line. So it was basically just chasing that famous Cottondale Trophy.
Yeah, exactly. One of the coolest trophies that are. I mean, there's several trophies that are really cool, but me as a Civil War aficionado historian kind of deal, a cotton bale is pretty cool and pretty significant.
Yeah, I mean, there's really I can't think of another trophy that's like that out there across the country. So It's always been something real cool. And back in the day, like I say, when I was growing up, they used to have the cotton-filled trailer for all the kids to go in and try to get a little bit of money. So this was always a cool event growing up. It's obviously changed a lot over the years, but it's always a good show.
Well, and there's been some notable names that have won this race. Kyle Larson, Jonathan Allard, Jason Myers. There's been some fast cats that have gotten the job done.
Yeah, when you look at this win list of the Cotton Classic, I mean, it's a who's who of California sprint car racing. And then you had some travelers like Tim Schaefer came out one year and picked off a victory. Blake Robertson, who back in the day was always one of the fast guys. He's won the Cotton Classic. Randy Hannigan, Greg Hodnett, their names are on this list. So, I'd probably put this Cotton Classic win list up against any list in California when it comes to a local win list.
And the last 3 years, there's been some sizable names that have won this race. Corey Day last year. I felt like that was kind of the beginning of him really starting to soar late in the season. If I remember right, he kind of had a rough weekend at Fall Nationals the week before at Silver Dollar Speedway where he crashed pretty hard a couple of nights. And then Then here he comes to Hanford last year, and he won the Cotton Classic. He won the first night of the Maury Williams and won the overall Maury Williams deal, and it seemed like a major bounce back in a positive direction.
Yeah, that was something that his father Ronnie never had the chance to do was win that Cottondale Trophy. So I know that was a special moment in his young career, and yeah, it could be a springboard for anybody as we get set for. I mean, pretty much the next month is all filled with 2-day shows, and then after that, it's pretty much the end of the nitty gritty of the season. So this really is the start of a big month.
Yes, and having it in September. And you'll have to correct me for Cotton Classic. Has that ever happened? Because I always identify it with kind of a mid October, right before Trophy Cup kind of deal.
Yeah, that's what it's been for several years. Is the weekend before Trophy Cup, but it's really bounced around. Like I said, back in the day, it used to be later in November. It was the last race of the year in California, and then a couple times it was actually held in May. I remember one of Jonathan Allard's win was held in May. I think that was 2005. But yeah, traditionally it's been right around the midpoint of October. So this is a little bit different this year. I know they swap weekends with Fall Nationals to try and get the Fall Nationals a little further away from the Gold Cup. So it's one of the case in points of promoters working together.
And there's a lot of race teams in the Central Valley. They're hungry for racing because prior to the night before the Tom Tarleton Classic, in mid-September, there was no racing at Thunderbolt or Kings since mid-June.
Yeah, that's definitely been a long time coming. So I know the teams are excited now. Just hopefully all the fans will come out and support the weekend. The Outlaw Show was, tremendously supported. So hopefully all the people that caught that show will come on out for 2 nights of local sprint car racing out here in the Central Valley, because that's what the backbone is of our sport out here.
And this race has been a staple at Hanford, but you and I were discussing before we went on air, there was a year where it was not contested at Hanford, and I was thinking it was about 2014, and I think that was the year James McFadden came out and teamed up with the Willie Kane, the Factory Kane Kading Performance number 4 team. That was at least the first time I remember that team out here out west, and they put a spanking to the 410 field.
Yeah, that was the only year that it was held at Thunderbolt Raceway was that year that McFadden picked up the win, and I think Hanford had closed down right about middle summer or so. So the race moved over to Thunderbolt Raceway for that 1 year, and then right back in 2015 it returned to Kings Speedway, where it's been held ever since, and hopefully it will stay there in years to come.
Yeah, and I think he rolled over that success and won the opening night of Trophy Cup, which ended up being the first time they had really did at least first time in a while that they did a 3-night program with your worst prelim gets kind of thrown off deal.
Yeah, I remember them being really fast at that Trophy Cup, and then come the final night, the success didn't quite fall into place for them. But yeah, that was one of those years where the Cotton Classic was the weekend before Trophy Cup, so it kind of helped parlay into that 3-day happening.
So Dominic Scelzi, he won this race 2021. He had a strong showing at the Tom Tarleton Classic with a podium finish, and that we talk about teams that are thirsty for wins. That team no doubt would like to start their weekend off because they've got the big NARC race on Saturday with the Maury Williams Memorial.
Yeah, whenever you go to Hanford, you can't bet against Dominic Scelzi. He'll be one of the guys to beat. Obviously along with Corey Day and Justin Sanders and a few more of those guys. But yeah, Dominic had an outstanding run at the World of Outlaw show to get on the podium, and it's one of those Central Valley teams that's excited to finally get the race in front of the hometown fans.
Well, and Sprint Car Challenge Tour in the house for Cotton Classic, and they've as we said, been a part of this race for the last few years, and coming off a very exciting and I wouldn't say drama-filled, but a little bit of a shake-up with the championship standings at Petaluma Speedway at Adobe Cup.
Yeah, that was certainly an interesting main event at Petaluma last week. I know there was some talk about track conditions, but you can't deny the fact that there was some good racing, especially through lap traffic, and you had some of your point competitors up front with Jesse Cox, Kayla Montgomery, and Dylan Bloomfield all kind of having some issues of their own. But it's 25 points going into Hanford Friday night with Justin leading Dylan, and then Kayla Montgomery is 32 back in third, and Hanford's another track that you never know what you're going to get. I mean, if you got to kind of run the ragged edge if you want to make speed. So this event can really play into the championship race as well.
I'm really excited to see how it plays out because you guys just have a couple more races left. So it's if you want to win the title, it's kind of do or die time now.
Yeah, and Hanford, like I said, is really one of those tracks that can always throw a curveball in there because a lot of times it is like say drama filled. You never know what to expect. One false step and you're over the edge, and you can fall to the back. Slide jobs are always prevalent at this place, so it's going to be a fun time. And this is the next to last race before we end everything in Stockton.
And not to put you on the spot, any surprise entries that you've heard through the grapevine or the pipeline that are coming out for the weekend to run on Friday night?
I haven't really heard of any surprises coming out, but I know that a lot of obviously the 410 guys are probably mostly going to run Friday night, so that always makes it exciting. And then, some of those 360 guys hopefully will stay over and run on Saturday as well. So it's a good format. It's worked over the years for the Howard Kading Classic, and it's cool to have, the 360s and then move into the 410s on Saturday.
Awesome. Well, really looking forward to it. It should be a great weekend. The Western RaceSaver Sprints will also be accompanying, and they had a really good group that showed up for the Tom Tarleton Classic or for that weekend at least, and no doubt they'll be exciting to watch too, a part of the card.
Yeah, it makes a nice little deal to have all wing sprints during the night, and they bring enough cars to just give that natural break in between the heat races and the dashes and whatnot. So it's going to be a good weekend for the race fans, no doubt about it, and we hope they'll support both nights.
Awesome. And then RaceKingsSpeedway.com, that's the destination that you can find stuff, right?
Yeah, that's the place to go for all the news and information. SprintCarChallengeTour.com, you can check out the points and all the results going into Friday night at Hanford. And like I say, this is one of the most exciting tracks out here in California. So if you've never been there, this is a weekend to check out.
Well, can't wait to see you, Gary. It's going to be a fun time.
I'm looking forward to it, Ben. Thank you for having me on as always.
Well, that is going to do it for this interview. We hope you enjoyed it. Be sure and hit the like and subscribe button on whatever platform you found this interview at. It really helps us grow the channel, and we greatly appreciate it. In the meantime, we'll be back with more content and interviews in the future. Be sure and have a great evening or a great rest of your day, whatever time you're listening.